Well, hello, my diecast family. How you guys doing today? Before we get into today's presentation, I just want to give another shout out. Thank you to my subscribers. I did notice some new people subscribing and commenting in some videos. In fact, somebody, one of you or two of you guys, was actually commenting on videos that I did like 6 months ago. I guess you were binge watching all the stuff I had done up to this point. So that's fantastic. I appreciate that, guys. I also want to thank all my long-term subscribers and also viewers. Thank you guys. We've since the beginning. Really appreciate it. This channel's been up and running for about 6 months now, maybe a little more, heading into 7 now, and it's gonna keep on going. Keep on plugging away. I got some new ideas for content coming up once I exhaust the entire collection. Of course, and as I add to the collection, sparingly as time goes by, we'll take a look at those. So today, I want to show you. These are the two last 124 scale cars I have in my collection currently. 124 scale is not one of my favorite scales to collect, so you probably won't see very many more of these. So you're mostly probably going to see, the 164, some of the 143 scale, which will probably be things like, Corgis and Matchbox Super Kings, things like that. And of course, the larger 118 scale cars. Those are going to tend to be the vast majority of the ones you'll see in the future. So these very well may be the last two 124 scale cars you see. So let's get into these because, these are both very cool cars. I know you guys are anxious to see them. So this one here on the right, this is actually not a metal car. This is a plastic car. And it came in this little box right here. All right, I'm going to explain to you what this car is. It says AMT Ertl on there. That's the company who provided it. So look at this label on the side here. 1992 Chevrolet Camaro Z28, finished in Polo Green metallic by Ertl. Now, dealerships, especially General Motors dealerships, they were a big seller of what's called a promotional model, and they would have some of their most popular models done in 124 scale in plastic, and AMT Ertl was the supplier for those, at least the vast majority of them. I think Johan, you've heard of them before. They're a plastic model company. They did a few of them as well. So, but I know Ford had a few promotional models. I've never seen too many Chrysler promotional models. I think that General Motors was actually the biggest purveyor of promotional models. So we're going to take a look at that one first, and we'll take a look at this Ertl Corvette secondly there. So let's move this one out of the way for just a momento, and we'll bring the Camaro center stage. I know you third-gen F-body fanatics, such as myself, are going to love this one. So 1992, as you know, that was the final year of this body style. Okay, and they had made some enhancements starting in 91. Like you'll notice, for example, they have completely different hood scoop style. They did an alteration to this chin spoiler. You notice it's a lot more pronounced. Same thing with the rear spoiler. Very, very pronounced. And completely, different design where it actually allows air to flow through it. In interior, you'll notice that the instruments, very updated. Airbag steering wheel. Everything else is pretty much, the same as what you had seen in prior years, including the door panels. A lot of these came with gold tone wheels, I remember, when they were in this color, and also some gold pinstripes and some other little gold embellishments on there. So this is just a very simple model, guys. I mean, it's just basically like a plastic snap-together model kit. It doesn't have steerable wheels, no opening features. It does have a fair amount of detail on the chassis, as you can see. And despite the fact that it's made out of plastic, by the way, this is not paint. See, all this is just polished plastic, guys, okay? And despite the fact that you can see it has a very nice sheen to it. It's got a nice metallic flake to it. They did a really nice job with it. This is what I want to do with this car, okay? You can see that the interior matches the body, right? Well, when I used to do these cars in this color green, in fact, remember I told you about the 1992 Firebird Formula my crazy mother drove as a test drive before she bought her Mustang. Okay, she drove the Firebird that was the same color as this, and it had that tan interior. It was really sharp. I really liked that car. I wish she would have bought that one. But she complained, yeah, it's not fast enough. Oh, please. Why, you just want to get yourself a ticket faster, I guess. And believe me, she did. But what I want to do is this. This car is very easy to disassemble, as you can see. It's just those two Phillips screws right there, and then back here it's clipped. I'm going to disassemble this car, and I'm going to refinish the interior in a nice tan. Okay. If I remember correctly, the dashboard was black in the Firebird, if I remember. Some of the accessories, I think the console and the dash were both black. The seats, the floor, everything else was tan. I want to do a similar thing with this car. Just redo the interior into tan. Redo the chassis in black. And I think I'm going to paint up some of the details. You know, like the side marker lights, these driving lights you see up front here. Maybe do some with this little Camaro emblem on the nose. Do some with the door handles. I think the door handles in these cars were actually black. And maybe even do up the tail lights a little bit with the amber turn signals and the white backup lights. Just, you know, just dress it up a little bit. That's what I'm going to do. So this video here, you guys get to see it in its, you know, unaltered form. And then I believe I would like to do some refinishing to this, all right? Because I think it would really benefit from it, and I think it would look a lot sharper, okay? So when I get the finished product done, I'll showcase this car again for you guys and show you how it came out, okay? So this is what it looks like now. Call this the before, and I'll show you the after in, well, probably a few weeks or so, all right? We're in the really nice weather in Florida now. The air's dried out, so I can do some painting, okay? All right, let's now take a look at the Corvette, all right? And this is a vintage diecast. All right, so Ertl, big name in both diecast and also pressed steel. You know, have you guys ever seen some of Ertl's 1/64 scale cars from the early days? They're absolutely terrible. They're some of the worst renditions of diecast cars you've ever seen. But yet when they would do a pressed steel vehicle or a vehicle this size, they did a really phenomenal job. And I could never understand. It's like, it's got to be the same design team. Why is it your small cars are so dreadful and your larger vehicles are so much better, okay? And thankfully, they did get even better as time went by. They started making some of the most detailed, very nice, you know, detailed diecast cars we've ever seen. But this was a casting from the very early part of the 80s, and there was 4 vehicles in this series. There was also a Jeep. There was a Trans Am, like about a 79 Trans Am, or 80, this Corvette. And then the rarest one was a Chevy step-side pickup. And I went looking for that one on eBay because I was really curious, and I found one, okay? And guys, it was rough. I mean, this thing looked like it survived the 1803 earthquake, the 1902 earthquake, World War I and II, and it was just a mess. And the guy was asking what I thought was a ridiculous amount of money for something that was in deplorable condition. It's the only one I've seen, too, so I don't know. I guess the Chevy step-side was very rare. You may have heard me talk about an eBay seller on a prior video. His name is Robert. He goes by the name Bob for short. Runs an eBay store called Shellbitter. He actually has the Trans Am of this right now in this same scale by Ertl. And it's pretty nice. It's got like a red with a black interior, and it's got a nice hood bird on it and everything. It's pretty cool looking. But I just haven't decided if I want to get that one yet or not. So let's take a look at this Corvette model. So my brother got this car for Christmas '81, and I actually did some shrewd trading with him to get it for myself. Yeah, because I thought it was so cool. I just had to have it. So you see it's got opening doors. It's got a couple of mistakes, like for example, you know, that steering wheel is excessively low. It would be hitting you right in the, you know, the boys. Here's an interesting feature. Let me see if I can flip them for you using the indicator. Okay, you see that? See, the seats flip forward, okay? Now, they're, of course, excessively thin. They're not really representative of, you know, the proper seats in a Corvette, too. But I imagine they did that because they were limited by their tooling, and they wanted the seats to flip, and that's how they did it successfully, was by making the seats super thin. Okay, so the seats do flip forward. Under the hood, you know, for what was basically a die-cast car, it sold for probably $5, maybe $6. You can buy these at Kmart all day long. It has a decent amount of details. You have an actual separate individual engine with chrome valve covers or chrome air cleaner. I see the radiator and the fan shroud are all in there. You can see the bell housing of the transmission. And then when you flip it over, you can clearly see that, yes, indeed, that engine and transmission are separate pieces. They're all one unit, of course. It's not separate. But yeah, they did a pretty good job with it. All this part here, that's all molded into the chassis, but it's also a pretty accurate representation of what, you know, a Corvette exhaust system looked like. They had a very short drive shaft. They didn't need, you know, much of a drive shaft in these guys. This is your spare tire well. So this is depicting a 1978 Corvette. 1978 was the first year they had this bubbled rear window, and they did this for two reasons. One, they were trying to give the car a new look. It had looked the same for a number of years by this point. And they wanted to freshen it up a little bit. It gave it a little more interior space. Not much, but it did definitely lend a much more airier cabin, which was welcome. It wasn't until model year 1980 that this became an actual opening hatch. Okay, in the 78 and 79, this was just a fixed glass, but you could, like you said, flip your seat, throw your couple duffel bags in the back there, and then you and your lady or whatever are ready for your weekend together. It's got this nice jewel style tail lamps, which is a nice touch. I like the way they tooled in the Corvette name. That's cool. They got the Ertl insignia here, and then on the top here you've got your little Corvette insignia, which is also the gas door, by the way. And in the front you've got another Corvette insignia. And I like how they made the bumper a separate piece. That was kind of cool. And this on the front has their license plate, and then of course you got your breathing gills under here. All right. And then this is showing those really nice wheels. I remember a lot of Corvettes had this style wheel. They're like a rectangular slot. Very nice aluminum wheel. I know like the anniversary edition had those wheels on it. But yeah, for an early 80s, relatively inexpensive diecast, it's pretty nice. And the Trans Am is about as nice too. I always really liked this one. It was kind of cool to find this one. This, by the way, came mint in the box. The box was in kind of bad shape. That's why I don't have it anymore. But as you can see, the car is in phenomenal condition. The paint's nice and shiny. Very few blemishes and bubbles or anything like that for having been encased in the plastic package for all those years. But yeah, not too bad. So there we have it, my diecast fans. We got a promotional model Camaro Z28 and a nice Ertl vintage diecast Corvette from 1978. So like I said, stay tuned for a future video where I'll show you the Camaro in its new state with all the enhancements I plan to make to it. I think you guys will see it'll make a big difference in its appearance, because right now it just looks kind of bland the way it is. So the plans that I have for it, hopefully it'll perk up and pop a little bit. All right, so guys, in the meantime, enjoy yourselves and take care. God bless. We'll see you in the next video.